Okay, everybody, welcome back. This will be our final panel of the day. It's called All About Insurance. Yeah, it's our favorite subject. And we have a really good panel today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce our two panelists. The first one, he's going to tell you a little bit about what he's doing. And then when we get done with that, we'll do a panel discussion on the table back there. First, we have Gabriel Alberian Jr. He's a volunteer regional coordinator for the National Fire Protection Association Firewise USA program throughout the Los Angeles and Ventura counties. And as you guys know, Topanga is a Firewise community. Gabriel started to grow his program in his community in Westlake Village. Gabriel has started to grow his program in his community in Westlake Village and now has led over 50 communities throughout both counties to successfully educate and empower their homeowners to be safer from wildfires. Through his work, Gabriel has been featured on local and national television news segments and is currently the only civilian serving on a task force at the Los Angeles County Fire Department to bring more awareness on wildfire preparedness to over 10 million residents. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Gabriel.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ryan, for that introduction. And it's great to be here. Thank all of you for coming here today and for talking about insurance. Everyone wants to talk about insurance, which is so great. So a brief introduction about myself. Again, that was wonderful, and how I got involved in this journey. So my community is in Westlake Village, and we suffered a loss of 4 homes during the Woolsey fires in 2018. What ensued after that was a 4.5-year rebuild project at a cost of $7 million. And we're on a community insurance policy. So our policy rose from $60,000 to $624,000. So we had a 1,000% increase. Unfortunately, at the time, the FAIR plan was not providing commercial coverage up to what we needed. So we had to go to the tertiary market to find solutions. Solution I needed to do, like I needed a bullet in my head, is become HOA president and put all of that aside and push forward. And after I was able to solve alongside the board all of those issues, I stepped back and said, well, what can I do to keep my community safer from wildfires? And I learned about the National Fire Protection Association Firewise USA program, which pushes to educate and empower our homeowners and our communities to be safer from wildfires. And there's a great insurance benefit to it as well, which is why I'm here to talk to you today. So the benefits of Firewise is, like I said, we educate, we create more fire-resistant communities, but then there's this great carrot of insurance savings. Now, the Insurance Commissioner's Office, our Representative Richie here, who will speak next more so about it, will tell us that Firewise provides you with a savings from your insurance policy. Most fire insurance companies are private entities, so it's not a defined amount of money that one homeowner will save. But according to the Safer from Wildfires initiative, all admitted carriers in the state of California do have to give a discount if you are within a Firewise USA community. The other item is LA County is a fire risk reduction community, which also makes you eligible for savings in California. Now, also, according to the Safer from Wildfires initiative, all the items we heard from the previous panel on home hardening, such as having a Class A roof, dual pane windows, metal gutters, removed debris, all contribute to savings from insurance. The ethos of the initiative from the Insurance Commissioner Office is the more you do, the more you can save. So as it pertains to the FAIR plan, which I know many of us, unfortunately, are now on, which was the safe net. Really, it's supposed to be the insurance coverage of last resort, and for many of us, it's become the insurance coverage of only resort. And so there are significant savings that we can have on the wildfire portion of our insurance premiums. You can save up to 5% for immediate surrounding protections. Immediate surrounding protections is defined as vegetation and debris cleared from under decks, no combustible sheds or outbuildings within 30 feet. Defensible space must be maintained, including trimming trees, clearing of brush, and removing debris from the yard. And there must be an ember-resistant zone maintained within 5 feet, which was this discussion about Zone 0 earlier today. In terms of the additional 10% for structure, it comes from structure protections. We must have a Class A roof, non-combustible 6 inches at the bottom of the exterior wall, what better known as skirting. Vents must be ember and fire resistant. 1/8 inch. We're also looking into perhaps even tightening that to 1/16 of an inch. Windows must have fire resistant upgrades, such as being dual paned or tempered, and eaves must be enclosed. Now, so that can save you up to 14.5% off your wildfire portion from Fair Plan only. I want to make that clear. That is not from other organizations like State Farm, Allstate, or any other organization. It's strictly for Fair Plan at this point. Now, there's a great benefit for the NFPA Firewise USA communities, with Topanga Canyon is a part of. You can get up to an additional 10% off that wildfire portion of your policy. Now, oftentimes I get asked, well, Firewise communities, we may not have all of our residents lean into this effort. If our neighbor isn't doing it, do we lose our recognition, or what happens in terms of fire protection? And the science is showing us more and more, and Ryan and I were at this panel for the forestry department, that fires, especially in Altadena, were not spread structure to structure. It was, in fact, the vegetation that was a lack of maintenance around each structure that really proliferated the fires in that area. So embedded in the model that is Firewise is an understanding that 33% of residents will lean into the effort, 33% are going to say absolutely no, I don't want to do it, and 33% are going to be in the middle, on the fence. Our hope, by educating and empowering our homeowners and our communities, is to get the 33% who do and the 33% in the middle to really lean in the effort. And to be quite honest, as a volunteer, I could say this, the 33% who don't want to do anything else will probably be sorted out by their insurance companies. What we're seeing more and more now is insurance companies are mandating that policyholders either sign an affidavit or pay for an inspector at a cost to come out and assess their property at a cost of around $500. And unfortunately, if many of the things that the homeowner is representing that they have done is not in fact done, the insurance company is dropping them from coverage. And then they're led to getting Fair Plan, unfortunately, which again is that insurance organization of last resort. So the great benefit of becoming part of a Firewise community, which again, Topanga Canyon is, which is wonderful that you can all be a part of it, is you get all these brochures and flyers, there's speaker events, myself, my colleagues at the Fire Safe Council, at the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains, at the Santa Monica Mountains Fire Safe Council are here to serve you. We want to educate and empower you, especially during this education period where Zone 0 regulations are going to go live in January 1st, 2029. We want to make sure our residents are educated and making the right decisions as it pertains to fire protection at their home. There's also great opportunities for fuel reductions days or chipper days where we'll all be grant funded. These are all free tools available to you. And I know at the tail end of the last panel, we were talking about getting a free home hardening assessment from the Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains. That's a free resource every homeowner should take advantage of. And that report stays between you as the homeowner and the entity that is Resource Conservation District. It does not go to the insurance commissioner's office. It does not go to any government entity. It is meant for education and empowerment. So I really want to press that you should really look out for these programs that are free of cost for our homeowners and really cost savings available to you as well. The last thing I also want to mention too is the California legislature is considering tax deductions for home hardening efforts. We want to push that within our legislature to make sure that we can all do this in an affordable way. Now, before I close, the last thing I really want to say is I get a lot of questions about this is more work. This costs me more money. It sounds like more rules, or I don't want to do it. Well, it may be more work, but it's going to make the difference in saving your home and perhaps your community from wildfires. There are no rules embedded in the Firewise USA community. We just look to empower and educate, and we don't want neighbors pointing at each other, but rather educating one another. In terms of money, I just touched upon the grant availabilities and hopefully the tax reductions that will be available in the coming new year. And if you don't want to do it, again, your insurance company will probably make you do it. So I want everyone to be aware of that. Be proactive. Do it before your insurance company may give you a week or a month notice to say, if you don't do these things, we're going to cancel you. So just be mindful of all of those things. We're here to educate. We're here to empower. And I really want to say thank you all for being here today, because you're learning so much about fire protection and prevention that can help save your home and your community from wildfires. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe. And I want to let you know that I met Gabe recently, and I kept on asking him, how should I run this thing? You know, because I've never run a seminar. And he gave me lots of really good advice, so I really appreciate that. Next up, we have Richie Sayavong, a Fresno State alumnus with a bachelor's degree in political science. Richie, what's your position at the California Department of Insurance?
Outreach analyst or outreach specialist.
Okay, I forgot to put that in my notes here. Okay, so Richie is the outreach specialist at the California Department of Insurance, a Fresno State alumnus with a bachelor's degree in political science, has the pleasure of serving as a public servant for the last 8 years in multiple government agencies with a passion for serving his community. Richie sits on the board of the Laotian American Community of Fresno. His experience ranges from working with various state programs such as CalFresh, Medi-Cal, Welfare to Work, and serving as staff analyst at the Fresno County Department of Social Services in Child Welfare, to staff service analyst at Caltrans, and more recently, his current position with the California Department of Insurance as outreach specialist with the Community Relations Outreach Branch, providing consumers across the state with information about various senior scams, California's low-cost auto program, emergency preparedness, and Commissioner Lara's sustainable insurance strategy. So currently, Richie serves as the outreach specialist for the Central Valley and Central Coast. So without any further ado, please welcome Richie Sayavong.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Ryan. It is my pleasure to be down here this afternoon to speak with you about what's going on in the recent aftermaths of January's fires. So this is just one story of thousands who are facing the prospect of having to rebuild after losing their homes, in that, families have held it for generations. And we've seen the importance of insurance role in that process, whether it comes to debris removal, personal belongings, additional living expenses, cleanup, and of course, rebuilding. And across the state, Californians face all sorts of perils, such as fire, earthquakes, and floods that threaten their livelihood. And of course, right now, Californians across the state are finding it harder and harder to find insurance to protect what matters to them most. So we're here to talk about the current insurance market, some of the changes the department has been working on to help alleviate these issues, and an outlook towards the future. So now, as part of the largest insurance reform in the past 30 years, since Proposition 103's inception, Commissioner Lara has introduced the sustainable insurance strategy aimed at modernizing our insurance marketplace by providing increased insurance accessibility and more options, creating a resilient insurance market for the future, and protecting communities from climate change. So we are expanding coverage. Insurance companies will write in higher risk areas, affecting more than 1.5 million homeowners in wildfire distress areas, and those that are on the FAIR plan. This is reform made real. California Department of Insurance has completed the final evaluation of innovative forward-looking models to address California's coverage crisis. We have currently approved 3 of those catastrophe models. So under the use of modern risk assessment, we're using the forward-looking catastrophe models instead of historical data. In California, since this reform has come into place, we have been using historical data. It makes no sense to look at the past 10 years, because what have we seen over the past 10 years? Multiple fires, floods, thankfully no hurricanes, but different things that has happened in California, and we're only looking at that. That doesn't look at how much homeowners have invested into their communities, into their property. So with these forward-looking models, we are looking at developing and accurately pricing insurance at the parcel level. So we are incentivizing wildfire safety, rewarding homeowners that take these mitigation actions with better rates and coverage options. So we talked about the FAIR Plan. We're modernizing the FAIR Plan to raise commercial coverage limits from $20 million per structure and now $100 million per location. So we do want to ensure that the FAIR Plan stays solvent. There's always rumors that anytime there is a fire that happens, oh, the FAIR Plan's going to belly up. Oh, they're going to disappear. We want to prevent that from happening because there are a lot of homeowners that are on the FAIR Plan that just need that coverage. So we are developing more comprehensive coverage, commercial coverage for HOAs and affordable housing, as well as larger businesses such as our wineries, agriculture, youth summer camps, things such as that, which weren't able to access the FAIR Plan previously. So we have commitments with these insurers to write more policies in wildfire distress areas. So our requirement for them to use these catastrophe models or these forward-looking models is that if you want to use it, we want you to write in 85% of our wildfire distress areas. We've taken 3 different approaches on how we are attacking this. We looked at counties. 38 out of 58 Californian counties fall under the high wildfire risk areas. We're looking at zip codes. So we're looking at zip codes where there is more risk and where risk isn't as high. For example, I come from the Fresno area. Clovis, it borders Auberry. It shares a zip code with Auberry, which is in the mountains. It's 93619. And we have a lot of folks calling in and saying, I can't access regular insurance. I am nowhere near the mountains. So we are eliminating that cherry picking with the zip codes. And we're also looking at our third approach, which is pockets of FAIR Plan policies. Where there are lots of FAIR Plan policies, that's more risk. And as many people should understand and know, insurance is all about risk. So when you reduce the risk on any property, it helps lower your premiums, lower all the costs in that manner. So where are we now? So it has been signed by Governor Newsom on New Year's Day and has been enacted. So the catastrophe models themselves have been approved since August. The immediate impact we're seeing is that the insurers we're working with are using department-reviewed wildfire catastrophe models and are now mandated to provide and maintain coverage in the wildfire-prone areas. But the next step, of course, is continued rollout of these regulations, monitoring the market response, and ensuring consumer protection throughout the transition. So, as I mentioned, if they're not keeping up with that 85% in these wildfire distress areas, the department will tell them, like, okay, we're going to review this. Either you step it up, or you're not going to have access to these tools anymore. So it is a bargaining chip that we have with these insurers. Something that wasn't mentioned on these slides is that we're also opening the idea of reinsurance. So California is very unique. We have a lot of consumer protections and we lead the nation in consumer protections. But one thing we don't do is we don't pay for other catastrophes across the United States and around the world. So we've never paid into reinsurance. We've also explored the option of California-only reinsurance. So we as Californians, anytime a disaster strikes in our state, we will have the option of paying into that recovery process. So reinsurance itself is insurance for insurance companies. It's a policy they pull out for extra funds, which is how they pay for multiple disasters. And we have to remember, insurance companies just aren't doing business here in California, not in the United States, they're doing it all over the world. So being and having that exposure with California not paying into it and not kind of taking care of ourselves, it kind of depletes the market a little bit there. So this is the other option, and other route that we have provided insurers with besides the catastrophe models. But we have not received any type of applications for the reinsurance just yet. It is a last resort. Moving forward, we are talking about the sustainable insurance strategy again. So since its inception, we are increasing that. As I mentioned, we have Mercury, Allstate, and CSAA that have responded to these new rate filings and that we are ready to go. We're still meeting with more insurers to talk about what their plans are when it comes to writing this insurance again. Gabe did touch upon the Safer from Wildfires. We do have a few of those pages and brochures back there. But ultimately, the Department of Insurance met with CAL FIRE, Cal OES, and all the Governor's Office of Emergencies and developed the Safer from Wildfires framework to not only incentivize homeowners, but incentivize the insurance companies because they do look at your property. As Gabe mentioned, you want to see more resilient communities, and it is outstanding that Topanga Canyon is part of a large Firewise community. I myself, being in Fresno, we have the first tribal Firewise community, which is the Table Mountain Rancheria, which is the Mono Indian tribe that has established a Firewise community. So it is definitely a growing factor in the state and how we are really preparing communities for wildfire. But of course, we're going to have more questions, but this is how you get in touch with us. The Department of Insurance is available at 800-927-4357, insurance.ca.gov. If you call us and you get the voicemail on a weekday, we'll call you back within about 2 minutes. That's our guarantee. Do follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter. Do sign up for our consumer alerts. Any new changes that we announce as far as what commissioner's doing and all that stuff, do follow us on that. You'll get that email directly. And this will conclude my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Richie. We're now going to, I just wanted to give a little shout out. Shout out to Carl Sussman, who really was the guy who was, he was an independent insurance agent. For nearly 3 decades, he's dedicated his life to understanding and navigating the world of insurance. He's been recognized as the importance of continuously adapting and evolving. He's been recognized as one of the first recipients of a master's in insurance management from the esteemed Ivy League college, Columbia University. And that accomplishment not only marks a pivotal moment for him, but also for his insurance agency, the Sussman Insurance Agency. Carl, we hope you get better. I think it would be great to have you here, and we'll invite you back some other time. In the meantime, let's move on to the next part of our thing. We're going to go into panel mode, and Tom's going to change the stage. And I'm going to ask a couple questions of our two guests, and then I'm going to turn it over to you guys, and we're going to have a discussion about insurance and answer some of your questions. Yep. All right. Okay, I'm looking at my questions. Here's a good one. How do we know we have enough coverage? I mean, I've heard that people are rebuilding now, and it's just costing all sorts of money. How do we know that we're insured enough?
So that is a question for me, of course. When it comes to insuring your home, it is very common for people to be underinsured. It's one thing to be insured, but there's under and over insurance. So do talk with your agent or broker to assess your property to make sure if you do have to rebuild, you do have enough funds to do so. Because as we've seen, it is much more expensive to rebuild homes, especially out of the Palisades.
Okay. Okay, next question. Should we raise our deductible to make our insurance more affordable, but to make sure we're covered for catastrophic loss?
Yes, very much so. I mean, when you look at increasing your deductible, you do have to understand if you do have to file a claim, it is going to be a little bit more costly to do so. United policyholders are very graceful to give you some of their brochures, so do take some of those as well. United policyholders, if you weren't able to meet them down in the fair, they are a nonprofit agency that helps folks with their policies. And they advise folks it's best to increase your deductible because in turn it will help reduce your premium. So, but do understand if you are going to increase that deductible to have those funds available in case you do need to file a claim.
And I have a question for you, for Gabe. We are a Firewise community. We want to keep being a Firewise community because it does add up to, I actually, personally, I found out that I am saving I'm saving 10% off of the wildfire portion of my California Fair Plan policy because we're Firewise. And if your insurance agent isn't doing this for you, make sure you know. Drill that person, or if not, go to someone else like Carl Sussman. But in any case, I am then getting the home hardening discount because I've done blocks my eaves and I've got that first 5 feet zone 0, and then I have the defensible space discount as well because I have structures further away. So with that, I'm getting an additional 14.5, I believe. So I'm getting about 24.5% off my California Fair Plan, and I am insured to the max as much as I can. But the thing is, with those discounts, it makes it more affordable to buy more insurance. So that's just a little heads up there. Let's see what time it is right now. I think at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you guys because I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. So if anybody has any questions, have them go to that. Please walk up to that mic right there. We'll turn it on, and you can ask the questions of our panel. Step up, sir.
I lost my home, and there is one thing in my insurance clause. It's called Home Protector. If you know what I'm talking about.
Not specifically, sir.
I lost my home and my guest house, and for either one, they have about $150,000 called Home Protector. But they told me they're not gonna give me any of that money till I'm pretty much done rebuilding.
Okay. So in that instance, I definitely recommend reaching out to the Department of Insurance. Our flyers in the back there have our phone number and our website. If you call us, this is for your personal, anybody has personal, issues with your insurance, do reach out to the Department of Insurance, file a request for assistance or an RFA. When you file one of those, it goes to the insurance company. You'll get assigned a compliance officer, and they will discuss any issues that you have with, they'll present the issue to the insurance company. The insurance company in turn responds to the department, and it goes back and forth, and you're informed every step of the way.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll ask a question. So tell me a little bit more about the Safer from Wildfire program, and tell me what specifically we need to do in that instance.
Yeah, so it's a 3-step system. First being protecting the structure, the second being protecting the immediate surroundings, and then third is protecting the community. So step 1, pretty straightforward. It's enclosed eaves. What is it, 6 inches? So yeah, we both talked about it, but so defensible space. So Class A rated fire roof, non-combustible 6 inches at the bottom of exterior walls. Vents must be ember and fire resistant, and windows must have fire resistance upgrades and enclosed eaves. The immediate surroundings, you get vegetation and debris cleared from any and under decks. There must be no combustible sheds from other outbuildings within 30 feet of the dwelling. Defensible space must be maintained, so trimming trees, clearing brush, removing debris from the yard in compliance with California Public Resource Code 4291. And there must be an ember-resistant zone maintained within the 5 feet around the dwelling, so the zone 0. And the third part, of course, is becoming a Firewise community, which is Topanga Canyon already, but also an FRRC, a fire risk reduction community. Those will also have those designations will also provide discounts as well.
I'll just jump in on this and sorry, Jay, you wanted to add something?
No, go ahead, John.
Okay. What we really need to keep in mind, yes, there's this great carrot of insurance savings that comes along with all of the items we just outlined together in our presentations. But the bigger thing is fire prevention. And through these efforts of home hardening or protecting your home from wildfires, you are given these incentives and these opportunities for reduction in your policy because much like I discussed earlier, in the after learnings of the Eaton fire, The fires that that burned streets or communities was not a structure burning, but rather due to hardening efforts or lack thereof of vegetation management, of not taking these items outlined in the Safer from Wildfires initiative, and then making more combustible material present, and then creating a wildfire in one's residence. So yes, there is this great opportunity for insurance discount from Safer from Wildfires, but what we can do to really reduce the risk of wildfires is to harden our homes individually, and then hope to do it as a community-wide effort through Firewise as well, through education.
Yeah, and Jay?
Yeah, just real quick. You mentioned, Richie, a couple of good points. One is that all this work to be done that is acknowledged by the Department of Insurance, but insurance is not really a company is not really acknowledging the work being done. So I know that they're supposed to provide a fee schedule to you guys to say, this is the discount that you're going to get for windows, for vents, and all that. But we also know that the insurance company is not a monolith. Everybody does a little different. But not too many insurance companies are actually doing that. I send the whole list to my insurance companies and crickets. Second thing is Los Angeles County is a fire risk reduction community. The whole unincorporated Los Angeles County. I also send that to the insurance company and crickets. So my question is, we have all these recommendations. However, when is they going to do it seriously and actually apply it to the people who are doing the work and actually giving either discount or maintain insurance, or like a fire risk reduction community list that the LA County Fire Department worked really hard to have, to obtain, when that's going to be acknowledged and be part of the policy.
So thank you, Jay, for the question, by the way. I'm going to bring in a practical example of what I did, for example, for our Firewise communities. Many times when you get recognitions, or when you get recognition, you immediately get a certificate. That certificate should then be issued directly to your insurance agent or broker for savings. But what we were seeing with Fair Plan, for example, was that the Fair Plan was not recognizing that you are within a Firewise community until it was formally recognized on a list with the National Fire Protection Association. So in this example, what I did is exactly what Richie had mentioned. I called the 1-800 number and said this was happening on behalf of my Firewise communities. What can we do to get this change? And in fact, they followed up with me. They met with Fair Plan. They offered a tiered approach. In months 0 to 6, you can provide your certificate. 6 to 12, they want to see the certificate plus the recognition on the website as a site. And from 12 months on, they want to see it on the formal list on the NFPA website. So I was able to get personally a resolution from the customer service line. I'm curious to hear more about this from Richie, but I just wanted to share my personal experience on this as well.
Yeah, so the whole wildfire safety aspect, the Firewise, FRRC, with these new rate-making tools that we've allowed insurance companies to use, they have to recognize the amount of work that communities have put in. So this is going to be incorporated in their rate-making process. As I mentioned, we are telling the insurers, you're not looking at zip codes, you're looking at the community, but you're looking at the individual parcel level versus grouping everybody together and just throwing out a price, because you'll get one end of the spectrum being the low, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, and then on the other side of the corner or on the other side of the street, they're paying $14,000, $15,000. We want to accurately price insurance, and it's all based on the amount of risk on each property and how much the homeowner, of course, is doing to eliminate those risks. So that's a crucial part of it all.
Arson Watch.
Okay.
Perfect.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and as Ryan mentioned, I am with Arson Watch and also getting to work with him on this activity today. So I had 3 questions, and you're going to have to all help me remember all 3 questions, right? So one is going to be about sheds, the second is going to be about signage, and then the third is going to be about legislation. But before, just in case I were to keel over, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you to everybody that have brought today together, because I feel a little bit more like the Verizon commercial where we always wonder who's on our side, right? And I think a lot of people don't think, Richie, you and your team are on their side. And I would have to say they need to open their eyes and really see how everybody is working together. So I kind of feel like the Verizon person, where we've got all these great people that are behind us to help us be a safer and more prepared community. So that's an overall thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So first question, Shed, personal question. So in typical Topanga way, you know, on our home, we have multiple buildings, right? Built in 1924, very updated. In fact, we just finished refinishing every piece of wood that is on our property, because I know it's not just about replacing, it's also keeping it very up to date, fixed, no warping and everything. We do have a shed, a very nice wood shed, by the way, and I'm just trying to understand why, but it's not 30 feet away from our house. That wouldn't do us any personal good on the hillside. It's 7 feet away from our house. Is there a way to characterize or think through that a shed? How is a nicely done shed any different than your nicely done other home buildings? What is the understanding on that?
Yeah, I'll take that. So the shed you're talking about is made of wood, which is typically a combustible material.
Certainly.
So we want to promote non-combustible material like stucco when looking at our exterior structures. That's why perhaps your shed that may be of vinyl, plastic, or wood would be discriminated against as opposed to a stucco or non-combustible material. Now, we do want it pushed out perhaps to zone 2 or 30 feet out, but we also want to mention that regular maintenance of wood actually makes it just as protective as non-combustible materials. So I'm a huge advocate, as well as my partners at the RCD and the Santa Monica Mountains Fire Safe Council and beyond, that one should get a wood rot and termite inspection annually, identify where vulnerabilities exist in your wood structure, whether it be your shed or your household, make sure to fill those in and paint it. The paint will keep that and make it almost as if it's non-combustible, and then seal any vulnerabilities should any wildfires brew up, and then also embers hit your fire. Sorry, let me just say one last thing. There is no such thing as fire-resistant paint, so I don't want anyone to think that. So any type of paint from any type of retailer, as long as your structure, whether it be your shed or your household, is painted and sealed, is just as good as it being a non-combustible material, but it needs to be done regularly.
Right. So we did that, and we know about what you said. There's about that, particularly within the 3 to 6 months after fire resistant becomes non-fire resistant paint. But my point is to get the insurance discount, right? We are, quote, discriminated if our shed is just as well sealed as our house, which, by the way, is also wood. They're taking care of exactly the same level. We wouldn't be able to get the discount because it is, quote, a shed. Yeah. So I'm trying to understand if there's I don't want to say a way around it, but is there a way to understand that through better? Because it's kind of discriminating when it's taken care of exactly the same. Same roofing, same wood.
Yeah. The one last part, and I'll let Richie speak after this. The difficult part about insurance is that they're run by private entities, right? So they write the rules on what they want to do specifically. And if many times now they're using Google Maps or Google Earth to survey our properties, and if they're seeing a shed or they're seeing ivy overgrown or any type of planting around the property, they're just saying that's a vulnerability from wildfire. So that's the unfortunate circumstance of the state of what we're seeing. Richie will add more.
Yeah, it's important to take photos, of, painting it, doing the inspection, having record of it.
Yeah.
Will also provide the insurance companies like, hey, this is maintained to the same level as my house. So it provides them that sensibility, because half of the time, they really do just use Google Earth, and it's not updated photos.
So it's still debatable.
Yes, it's still very debatable.
Okay, moving on to signage. So back to the point about preparation. So one of my kind of pet peeves is signage that doesn't work. So part of Arson Watch is we're trying to prepare and to prevent fires. So we have signage that says, no fireworks, yada, yada. I would love to understand if there's any great research on signage that is even more effective, because it's not just about the people that live in our community. We have a lot of people who come through our community. For example, I was down at Topanga Beach, and I was not wearing I was wearing a swimsuit, typical, right? And anyway, so all of a sudden I see one of those paper Chinese lanterns, being lit up. So I did go over there and communicated, not a good idea. And it was actually a red flag warning time. It's just lucky that the wind was blowing into the water, not reverse. But I stopped and I looked around Topanga Beach. I'm like, but nobody knows. And by the way, I went and did my research. Chinese lanterns are actually against the law in the state of California. And if you start a fire with them, you could actually end up in jail for a very long time. So I'm curious about how do we improve signage, and I'm curious if there's any research on what kind of signage works better. And I'll bring up one quick example. This doesn't sound obtuse here, but when you look at how they tried to reduce drug wars in Colombia, they were able to use very different signage, even in the woods in different places, to convince the people who had been recruited to leave and go back to their families. So my point is signage can be very powerful, but sometimes people just toss up words and think that's it. And I'm looking at how can we improve our signage to be much more effective so we prevent fires. And I'm curious, again, any research you have, any grants you provide for that, just understanding what we can do to make that better.
The one thing I can say, do you have anything on this? But the one thing I can say is with Firewise, what comes with designation is a sign that you are within a Firewise community. Mm-hmm. So what that has empowered our neighboring communities to do is inquire, what does Firewise mean? How can I become a community myself? So I can speak specifically about that. And I know for a fact that many other communities have seen signage about this, and especially that it's an education-based program and how it has helped grow the program throughout certain areas of LA County. I don't know in any other circumstances or don't have scientific data, but this is all just based on information that I get in education gathering.
Yeah, just a little funny aside on signage. Because we're on State Route 27, it is basically impossible to put up a sign. We have Firewise signs. So it reminds me to maybe make another go at trying to get a meeting with Caltrans, because it's been very difficult. We are a Firewise community. People don't really know it. And the thing that's really important about the Firewise community is to know that we are getting these discounts, and we have to keep on doing things. It's not like you become Firewise community and then you're just cool. You have to keep on reporting your activities. And you go to Topanga Town Council, that website is where they have the link. If you want to know more about it, or you can go to our website, which is ntcfsc.org. That's ntcfsc.org. We'll link you to the Firewise. I encourage everybody in Topanga to just really pay attention to it. You report your time that you've spent on things. You report the money that you've spent on things like brush clearance and any money you've spent on home hardening. We are going to report all the hours that everybody spent at this fair. You don't have to do it because we do that. But it all counts. And the more momentum we can keep in this community to be seen as moving towards that goal, the better. I mean, Topanga really is a pretty special place. I mean, we formed TCEP after the '93 fires. We've been at this longer than most communities, and we have a reputation. So we have to uphold our reputation. That's my pitch in that regard. So one more question?
Yeah, by the way, the other sign you're seeing now is when you're entering a very high fire severity zone community, especially in my area of Westlake Village, we're seeing those more and more. So awareness around being in that dark red designated region by CAL FIRE is definitely happening because of those signs as well.
So I just will offer up is I think it's great what we've done, but I also just believe, and it's probably because of a marketing background, but I believe in the power of signage, and having been in Arson Watch and having to walk up to somebody who's smoking a cigarette and they're like clueless. What do you mean? Signs? I didn't see. Oh, there it is. Again, I think we can do more and better and be more compelling about people taking care of Topanga and other communities and the people and all that. So, okay, last question is I just ask, is there anything that would help all of you guys doing what you're doing in terms of writing letters, legislation? Again, you guys are kind of fighting those battles on the front line, but I think if there's ways that we can help write letters or emails to get things through, that would be good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a legislative bill package that's mostly been approved by Governor Newsom. I'll touch upon a few of them. So we have Assembly Bill 888, which is the California Safe Homes Act, which is providing tax-free home hardening grants to promote safer, fire-resistant communities. And this is in line with Alabama's Strengthen Alabama Homes Act. We have also wrote up Assembly Bill 597, which is fair and transparent insurance fees. So it caps public adjuster fees to better protect wildfire survivors. Senate Bill 495, Eliminate the List Act. It was actually authored by Senator Ben Allen, which guarantees full content coverage without requiring detailed inventory lists. We also have SB 429, which is the Wildfire Public Model Act, which creates the first publicly available catastrophic wildfire risk model to support planning and increase transparency. So those are some of the bills that we push forward and waiting for Governor Newsom's signature.
And I want to thank you for the questions, but then also this last one, because it's so important that we engage our homeowners and our communities in on this effort. Jay, I'm going to ask that you close your ears for a moment. What you can do right now is there's a great initiative in front of us that the Forestry Division, Forestry Department at the state level is considering. That is part of Zone 0, or the 0 to 5 feet from one's home. What fire prevention advocates like myself and educators are really pushing is all non-combustible material, very limited planting in that area, because 90% of fires, the science is showing us that 90% of fires start within that 5-foot area of one's home. Let's say you had a shrub that was overgrown and dried up a bit, and it drops some leaves or has some dry twigs on it, and a fire rages through your community. Embers may hit those vulnerable points of that plant or the fallen leaves and ignite a fire, which may ignite that plant, a nearby shrub, a tree, and then may even hit a vulnerable spot in your household if one doesn't get that wood rot or termite inspection or has an open soffit vent. Whatever the case may be, those create vulnerabilities that then create catastrophic loss. So that's number one. Be an advocate, reach out to the forestry department, the state level, and be an advocate for strict regulations on Zone 0. Number two is be a part of your community. Lead by example at your household. Take all of these efforts that the prior board, panel spoke about in terms of home hardening efforts that could then solicit insurance savings that can then create a greater community that would not incur loss during a wildfire. I got involved in this effort because I wanted to change the narrative of what was going on, what we were seeing from the insurance commissioner office and from just insurance companies in general was just, we're leaving the state, we don't want to provide solutions, and then we were incurring higher costs because of it. I really wanted to get involved because I wanted to change that and show that we, as community members, as Californians, can lean into this effort and make our homes, make our communities safer from wildfires. So it's just about educating and empowering each other to do what's right. And that's the really big thing that I tell people. I often get asked, what's the number one thing I can do to help save my home or community from wildfires? And the answer I always give is education, because we have to provide science-based education to take things into our own hands that would work. Otherwise, we're not protecting our households. So number one, reach out to the forestry division. Number two, protect your households. Number three, make sure to reach out to your local representatives, especially at the state level, to provide these tax reliefs for home hardening efforts, because they can make a difference. A lot of people are hindered from doing these things because they can't afford it. We want to be able to open those channels open to everyone, and that is a great reason to lean in if one is given a tax benefit. So thank you for that question.
And I would say the other thing you can do is, we always have the neighbor who just doesn't have it, doesn't get it. I've got one. The only thing I can do is lead by example. That's it. Just lead by example. I have so many people saying to me, my neighbor's tree, blah, blah, blah. What have you done? Have you done everything? Have you really done everything? Did you do your events? Did you do all of that stuff before you start pointing the finger at your neighbor? That's my little personal thing. But anyway, people, thank you so much for a wonderful day of incredible seminars. Thanks to you guys for being here. This has been just really fantastic. Really appreciate it. And gosh, I guess we're done in here. I think there's another raffle. So I think they're going to call me and tell me if one of you people won it. I think they're doing it now. So anyway, have a great time. Thank you so much for coming here, and thank you for everything that you guys are doing to make our community safer.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you again.